So I guess I would answer questions if anyone had any.
Where did you come up with Charlotta, the Vietnamese pregnant pig? From a real life experience, or?
No,
No?
no, so the question was, where did I come up with Charlotta? I'm fascinated by pigs, and I actually went to grade school and played with the granddaughter of E.B. White.
Wow.
So we used to play trolls together. So maybe it was way back then, but they're just an interesting animal, and they are incredibly intelligent, so I really like that aspect.
Speak up, folks. I have a question.
This is my dad. Going to be 94 in another month.
Okay. Your first book, Undertow, which I thought was such a lyrical, the writing was so lyrical. And your poetry, frankly, I don't understand poetry at all.
Who does?
But this book is totally different from Undertow. And it takes a little getting into before you start to realize what's actually happening with it. I thought the writing was great, and I hope everybody else thinks the same thing.
He's not biased. Well, different books. I'm sparked by different things, and the thing about this book that I was trying to do that really fascinated me was trying to keep it to one day. That the book takes place over one day. There's some flashbacks, but not that much, because I really like that idea of, and I was thinking about this today, that so much can happen in a day, any day. So that's what I really liked about the container.
I'm so sorry that Robert Altman is dead, because I think he should direct the movie. I love the intermingling and how the same action will be happening but from a different perspective all the time, and all that interlacing was really wonderful.
Thank you.
When's the movie coming out?
Right. Right. Who's playing Charlotta?
I was wondering if the characters developed organically. Did you have a preset idea of kind of how many was the right amount?
Yeah, I don't know. They just all started presenting themselves. And I think then I had to decide which were the main voices I wanted to kind of repeat, since it kind of rotates through their voices throughout the novel. So there were certainly ones that felt important to link each character to a different one who might not have been in the same family. So that's part of it. But really, they just kind of appear, which is a kind of scary when you think about it.
So, how do you get inside the body of a pregnant pig? I mean, that seems very evocative.
I don't know. I mean, I just kind of tried to think about it. Like, if you're down near the ground, like what's down there and what would a pig find interesting as opposed to a dog, or a cat? Because they're definitely, they have different, sensibilities of what they're like. And Charlotta really loves Avery's voice, so she's very tuned to that. And they have their little rituals. We've seen that if you have pets, all our pets have certain rituals. So I think I just extrapolated. And I understand that actually the miniature pot-bellied pigs are making a comeback, that there's like another craze, and it's interesting to see that because it's like it's never happened before. And I don't know, but they were never that miniature. So I think that was their downfall. is they actually got large, not like as large as a hog, but still pretty big, so.
Giant.
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple hundred pounds, I think.
Yeah, they can get pretty large.
So what about the year? I'd love to hear more about that.
1985.
Ah.
You know, when I placed it in there, it seemed to be sort of a pivotal time in politics in terms of, you know, a lot of artists were really able to, you know, have a fairly decent life without having to put a lot of time into 9-to-5 jobs, or there's CETA grants, there were lots of things that you could tap into, and when Reagan came in, all of that kind of disappeared. So I really wanted to kind of capture some of that topsy-turviness of people who, you know, didn't have money, and what did people do to kind of navigate their way. So that seemed like a good time period. And, you know, before all the technology.
Amy, I have a question. In terms of the development, how many years, since I don't write, I'm just curious how long in the making it took
To write this.
To write the book, and you know, did you start thinking about the theme years before, or how does that develop?
So as Roberta said, there's a second book that hasn't been published, so that one came after the first book. And, you know, as I was polishing that one, this book came up, and I started writing. So I probably wrote on it about 5 years, something like that. Then there's a lot of revision. So then there's, you know, probably add another 9 months to a year revision at this level of towards the publishing end of things. So
About 6 years.
yeah, it's a long process. Yes.
Were you a morning writer or an evening writer? What was like?
Morning or evening writer?
Yeah, what was
Morning.
morning?
I'm a morning person. Yeah. I just don't have the energy at night. So yeah. And one thing a number of years ago that I started doing for myself that's been really important to me as a writer is I take retreats at least 3 times a year, and I give myself 5 days to a week, and I just go away and I write. And I'm nothing but a writer for that time. And that's been really a wonderful gift. Yeah. Yes.
Longhand, tablet, laptop?
I write prose on the computer, poetry longhand, and then I put it in. And when I was sort of finalizing the manuscript for the publisher, I was on a retreat, and, you know, really I just had to put it, you know, together on the computer and send it. And I said, I'm only going to write longhand. I'm not going to get back on the computer. And I sat down. I'm not just going to write haiku, you know. And it's like I sat down to write, and another novel came out. So I started writing it longhand because I just couldn't bear to get back on the computer. Yeah. But, you know, I must say that I did used to write prose longhand. It's so much easier on the computer. It really is.
I had a question. One of the fascinating things to me about the host of characters are the kind of edgy villains.
It's never all good or all bad, so I wanted to have, you know, a diverse range of characters and experience. So when did they appear? That's a good question. I don't remember when Frances made herself known, but she's actually one of my favorite characters. She's the alleged art thief and a sister of somebody else, and she is kind of scheming, and so she's a great foil for a lot of other things, although she also has quite a big heart, so that's... and her brother Joe, they're both one of the 9 characters. Their father had actually, he had died, and there's question about how he died. So they each have a very different perspective about it, and so that comes into play, especially as it pertains to Helen. So, and Avery's, a former lover of Avery's, she is one of the people who started a commune. And so, yeah, she's not your typical, what you would think of, just like, oh, everything's great, do whatever you want. She's got some real control issues. So there's, I just tried to bring out different traits that you might not think about with people and not make them all good or all bad. Okay, so I'm going to sign books. There's some treats back there, lovely petit fours from St. Honore Bakery. And there's even some gluten-free ones for
The
those.
raspberry ones are gluten-free.
Yes,
If you
yes.
want to buy a book and have it signed, please buy it first and then bring it to Amy at the table and she'll be happy to sign it.
Thank you all.
Thank you.